Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. In today's podcast, I'm catching up again with Harry Vaheesan in Sri Lanka, actually in Colombo. Harry, the manager, has just celebrated his Jaffna Kings winning the 2021 Lanka Premier League. Thanks for joining me again on the Paddock and the Pavilion, Harry.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much for inviting me again once more this year. Thank you.
How are you? You must be delighted after the victory on the 23rd of December.
Absolutely, very much so, and very delighted to be in this position once again. And as I stated last year, I'm in a very humbled position once again after winning the second edition of the LPL.
I thought you were taking a year off.
No, I wasn't taking a year off. My role has changed in the sense a new ownership has taken over the franchise. And I have been appointed, or I was appointed as the director of cricket. I also managed the team at the tournament.
Oh, so you had a lot more to do this time than in 2020.
Absolutely. Last year, the previous year, 2020, I purely managed the team at the tournament, at the venues. But since then, with the new ownership of the franchise, I was appointed as the director of cricket, and my role changed, and I had to cover quite a lot of things pertaining to the franchise itself.
So what did that involve, the extra duties?
The extra duties, I would say, I was involved in the player draft itself, where along with the captain and the coach of the team, I was involved in picking the squad and the day-to-day running and organizing almost everything to do with the franchise. I was involved from the clothing to getting sponsors and arranging the hotels and almost everything pertaining to the franchise.
Oh wow! It was a lot more to do then. You were responsible for the actual the players that were in the squad then.
As I stated, along with the coach Tilina Kandambi and the skipper Thisara Pereira, yes, I was involved. And as the director of cricket, everything came under my jurisdictions.
And is that why the name changed? Because you were the Jaffna Stallions in 2020.
No, in fact, the ownership of the franchise changed due to whatever reasons, which I was not part of that particular change. Once the ownership of the Jaffna franchise changed, the name was changed to Jaffna Kings. And the new owners of Jaffna Kings headhunted me to do this role.
And what's it been like in Sri Lanka in sort of COVID times since we last spoke sort of 12 months ago?
I would say things have improved. 12 months ago when we spoke, or in the previous or the first edition of the tournament, the COVID rules were more stringent. But I think perhaps people have got used to it and the vaccinations have helped as well. On that basis, it has improved.
Well, that's good news. And in the tournament, I know there was big crowds at the final, but were you living in a bubble, the team? Because you played all the group matches were in Colombo and then you moved to Hambantota for the qualifiers.
Yeah, of course, we were in a bubble. That's the only way we could run the tournament. We were in a bubble in Colombo at the Cinnamon Grand Hotel, and we were traveling to the matches, which was not too far. And on the 18th of December, we moved to Gaul, a place called Unawatuna, a hotel called Aralia, and we were staying in a bubble there. The distance between the hotel and the venue was about an hour and a half drive. So that was a bit of a difficult thing for us to do, but we managed and we did well and we won the tournament.
Were you just restricted in a bubble just to spending time in the hotel and just moving around in the coach?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we couldn't really move around with the general public. We were just in the bubble, only dealing with our own players, and perhaps to a certain extent with the other teams as well.
How did you find that? It must be difficult.
I would say it was not as difficult as the first edition. The rules were more stringent. The environment was more stringent, but this time, I suppose, in a way, we had got used to it as well. And the players, especially most of the national or international players, have been used to this sort of bubble, so it wasn't too difficult.
I bet the players that were dying at some stage to be able to, go back to not living in cricket bubbles. It must take a strain, all these bubbles that people going in and out of.
Yeah, no doubt. There is a strain. There's no question about that. But it's their profession, and perhaps they have to undergo certain difficulties. As in any job, you have to undergo certain rules. So on that basis, they didn't mind it. But yes, they were in a position that they wanted to get out by the time the tournament was over.
Yeah, I bet. Well, let's talk about the cricket, and I wanted to start by talking about the final, because I watched the final on TV over here, which took place on the 23rd of December. The Jaffna Kings won by 23 runs. Now, to start with, I mean, what were the celebrations like afterwards? I saw you in the huddle when the trophy was presented.
Yes, it was an unbelievable feeling. Winning it, the Jaffna franchise winning it 2 times in a row, or the first 2 years of the tournament itself. And at the ground itself, after winning the tournament, it was superb. Even parts of the families joined into the ground because the bubble was broken after the last ball was bowled. My wife and my little son were very lucky to join me as well at the ground. Similarly, other players and managers and coaches, their families were able to join in at the ground. And once we went to the hotel, the real celebrations kicked in, and we had a good time.
Yes, what time would it have been in Sri Lanka when the match finished?
If I remember correctly, it was almost past midnight, probably about 12:31ish. And by the time we got to the hotel, and when the party kicked off, it was about 3 a.m. in the morning. So we partied till about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you didn't need to go to bed that night?
No. I didn't go to bed until the 24th night. That was Christmas Eve in Sri Lanka, or all over the world.
We forget how close it was to Christmas. What does the result mean to Jaffna? Winning it for the second time in a row as well.
Already after the first win, I don't know whether you remember, I stated there was only one turf wicket in Jaffna to play cricket in the middle. Still, it remains the same, unfortunately. But what has cropped up is several turf side nets have cropped up, which is a very good sign. And I'm sure within the next year or two, there will be more grounds with middle turf to play cricket in Jaffna.
Well, that's all positive news. Now, let's talk about the game itself, the final, where, Jaffna, you scored 201 for 3. You must have thought that was enough. But then when I'm watching the Gaul Gladiators, after listening here for listeners, after 3.1 overs, they'd reached 50. And at the end of the first power play, they were on 81 for 2. So were you getting worried then?
To be honest, I was pretty confident when we were at 201 for 3 at the end of 20 overs. When they were 50 in 3.1 overs and 80 for no loss, actually, just before the 6th over, it was a bit worrying, but I still felt that it was too good to be true for them to carry on at that pace. No doubt there was a little bit of a worry, but the 2 consecutive wickets by world number 1 T20 bowler Vaheesan Hasaranga turned things around. And from there onwards, I think we were on course for a victory.
Yeah, you mentioned Hasaranga. He was playing for you last year, and at that time, he was a bit of an unknown, but he's certainly come to the fore in the last 12 months. And in the final, he got 2 for 30. He got a run out, and he also got a very good catch in the deep, but he was also injured at the end.
Absolutely right. I was about to say that. I thought you forgot to mention the injury. Yes, he did get injured, and I think he's going through his recovery at the moment.
But nothing serious, just it looked like hamstring, was that right?
Yeah, I'm not very sure about the exact injury, but it's sort of a hamstring injury, and he's looked after by the Sri Lanka cricket physio. His name is Sanjeeva Gamage, who is a really good physio, who was also our Jaffna Kings physio at the ground. So it has helped the course of his recovery.
And could you let listeners know the star players in your team who performed in the final and in the tournament?
I would say all players were stars in my book, but there were really good performances by players like Tisara Pereira himself, the skipper, Wanindu Hasaranga, Avishka Fernando, who was the player of the tournament. We had Shoaib Malik, who played his role, and Tom Kohler Cadmo was a really good find for us, who replaced Faf du Plessis. In fact, Faf was signed by us to join us, but due to family commitments and the Omicron variant, he had to go back to join his family in South Africa. So once he pulled out, Tom replaced him, and he did a marvelous job for us. Gurbas was excellent. Gurbas, Rahmanullah Gurbas in the last 3 games. And also young Jaden Seals did a fabulous job. And Suranga Lakmal as a local player, as a bowler, he did well. The list continues. The list absolutely continues. Mahesh Deekshana, who was fined from last year, who has established himself in the Sri Lankan side as a mystery spinner. So the list continues.
Yeah, you did have a lot of name players. You say Tom Kohler Cadmo, who plays for Yorkshire. And I was impressed by your opening batsman, Iviska Fernando, who was the player of the tournament. He got a 63 in the final.
Absolutely. I did mention Avishka. Avishka is a super player, and no doubt he's going to come good in the future for Sri Lanka. He has already come good for Sri Lanka, but I'm sure he's destined for better things in the future. And Tom Kohler, TKC, what a player he is. And I think English cricket should be excited by TKC. We call him TKC, Tom Kohler Cadmo. And in my personal view, he's not far from debuting for England in the shorter format.
I will keep a lookout for him. Going back to the final, we say that at about halfway, the Gaul Gladiators had reached the sort of half score. They got over 100. But you sort of squeezed them in the last 10 overs and you won comfortably in the end.
Yes, Stephen, you're right. It should have been even more comfortable put in there. But that was after we sort of took the foot off the pedal because we were reasonably confident that we were going to seal the win.
And what's it like working with all these international players, especially Shoaib Malik, who's sort of still playing for Pakistan? And I was looking up, he's nearly played 300 ODIs for Pakistan and over 100 T20s.
Yes, you're right. It's an amazing feeling and amazing experience to work with players of that stature. His T20 matches, not international, but altogether T20 matches are in excess of 450 games, I think. And what a person to have in the dressing room with his calm and collective approach.
Now, the tournament, you've got 5 teams in the tournament again this year that along with the 2 finalists. There was the Dambulla Giants, the Kandy Warriors and the Colombo Stars. And in the group matches, you won 6 of the 8 games. But in the 2 games you lost were against the Gaul Gladiators. So were you worried against playing against them in the final? Because you also lost to them in the qualifiers. So you went into the final having played the Gaul Gladiators on 3 times and lost each occasion. Yeah.
Out of the 3 games, I would say that we lost fair and square only in the first qualifier. The very first game, we had 4 players who returned on that day and 1 player who returned the previous day. 4 of them playing the T10 final and 3 of them being in the winning squad who played cricket the previous day and arrived into the bubble only that afternoon. It was a bubble-to-bubble transfer. And the players, including TKC and Wanindu Hasaranga, who were really, really tired. And so it's not giving excuses. So that was sort of bound to happen. I feel it was a wrong decision to have a curtain raiser just after an international final. So, and the second game, we made 6 changes after our place in the final round or the qualifying round was confirmed. We made 6 changes. If we were really going for the kill, we wouldn't have made 6 changes. So I was not too bothered about that game either. The first 2 games, it was one of those things. Even the third game, we did lose fair and square, but we made a judgmental error in expecting the rain and expecting dew. So something which we have to learn and all cricketers have to learn is don't play for the weather. Just play the cricket as it is and play the cricket the way it should be.
And how much is the tournament benefiting cricket in Sri Lanka?
I think it's immensely benefiting cricket in Sri Lanka. As you very correctly said, Wanindu Hasaranga, who has come through obviously he was in the reckoning in the Sri Lankan team, but the T20 format really helped him to become who he is, and he's the world T20 number one player. And then the likes of Mahesh Deekshana, who has come through it, Bhanuka Rajapaksa from the Gol Gladiators, the skipper who has come through it, the Chamika Karunaratne. There are a lot of players coming through the LPL to play the shorter format for Sri Lanka at the moment.
And do you think the standard improved in 2021 from 2020?
Certainly, there's no doubt the standard of cricket with the LPL had immensely improved from 2020 to 2021, and the sky is the limit to go forward. And it's not only my opinion, people, my contacts, my friends, my family, other cricket enthusiasts have mentioned that as well, saying that the standard of cricket, the brand of cricket which was played in 2021 was much better than the 2020 edition. Also, we had better players and the teams were stronger, and all the teams were balanced, and there was a proper competition this year for us to win the tournament. And I'm happy that we won a hard-fought tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say that with the overseas players. There was several English players playing. Phil Salt, Samit Patel, Tom Banton. You also had Imran Tahir was playing, and Mohammed Amir.
There were a few more players apart from the list you have mentioned. And yes, the standard of players were very much better. And the youngsters from Sri Lanka rubbing shoulders with these players and playing the brand of cricket they played was absolutely superb. You mentioned Imran Tahir, and just to give you an example how it helps is that Imran helped one of our young players from Jaffna, who hasn't even played first-class cricket, who made his debut in the LPL last year, got the wicket of Angelo Matthews. He played 2 games, and just before his first game during this tournament, Imran, after the game against Dambulla Giants, I think he was playing for Dambulla, he helped, the player's name is Vyas. He spent about 15-20 minutes in the middle helping him out with the bowling and giving him advice. And it showed when this young chap played his first game this year, he got 3 wickets, and the second game he got 2 wickets. So Imran's input was invaluable, and this sort of input from senior players all over the world, giving advice to Sri Lankan players, younger players, is paramount importance, and it definitely helps the cricket of Sri Lanka.
Well, that's great to hear. Imran Tahir, he played in the 100 for the Birmingham Phoenix. He's a great character when he's on the field. I love it when he gets a wicket.
Yeah, absolutely. I like his celebration, throwing his arms around or whatever, or stretching his arms and running. His celebrations did continue, but what you see in the middle is different. What you see outside, he was so helpful, and when I was very thankful to him, he said it's his duty to help young cricketers, and I thought it was very, very, very nice of him.
Well, that's very good to hear. And you think that the LPL will help Sri Lanka internationally? Because in fairness, in the T20 World Cup, Sri Lanka were promising as well.
Yes, indeed. They were very, very promising. There's no doubt there were a couple of missed catches and a couple of bad overs by bowlers, which is part of cricket anyway, which didn't help Sri Lanka. But with a little bit of fine-tuning, and even with the batting order, I'm not an international coach, but I'm becoming an international manager, I suppose, with the LPL. In my view, Avishka Fernando is an opening bat, and he was batting at number 4. In the qualifying rounds, he did well for Sri Lanka, batting at number 4, but opening the batting in the, going at number 4 in the main part of the tournament didn't help. Someone like Avishka opening also would have helped. So yes, indeed, it is helping Sri Lanka very much, and it is becoming a force to reckon once again in world cricket in the shorter form.
And do you think you need more teams in the LPL?
Good question, Stephen. In my personal view, I would say that one more team will be good. For a small country, I think 8 teams is a bit too much. Then the teams get saturated. So I would say one more team, 6 teams will be good. Because at the moment, out of 5, only one team goes out. So I would like 6 teams in the tournament.
And are you looking to be involved again with the Jaffna Kings in 2022?
Possibly, yes. I haven't thought that far, but the chances are, yes, I will be involved, but we don't know what the future holds. Let's see, wait and see what happens.
But you must, just summing up, you must be so delighted to, again, have won the LPL. Working with these international stars, it must be a real thrill for you compared to, coaching in the UK.
I was about to say that. In fact, it is a absolute privilege to be working with these international and national players, and also winning the tournament twice in a row, or the first 2 editions, is icing on the cake. And I'm grateful to the likes of, I know you are part of Marchtown Cricket Club, but the likes of Marchtown Cricket Club and Cambridgeshire Cricket, where I learned my trade. Being a coach, I'm a level 3 coach. I think you know that. So being a coach and then making the transition into management once I came to Sri Lanka, certainly these routes have helped me.
And what are your own personal plans for the next 12 months? Any thought of coming over to the UK on a holiday?
Certainly, yes. The pandemic has put spokes in my travel plans. I should have been there last year before, but it hasn't happened. But certainly this year, the rules are fairly known now. We know what it holds. So quite possible during summer I should be making a visit. But in terms of my plans in Sri Lanka, I'm very much involved in cricket. Everyone from abroad, they call it the diaspora. Any cricketing projects, or most of them, I wouldn't say anyone, 75-80% of people who wanting to do cricketing help to Sri Lanka, especially the north and east and backward regions of Sri Lanka, are approaching me, and I'm in a very humbled and privileged position to guide them and help them to do what they want to do to improve cricket in Sri Lanka.
You were talking earlier about Jaffna. Are you involved in hopefully improving facilities in the Jaffna region?
No doubt at all. No doubt at all. It's happening. It has happened, and it will continue to happen. That is priority. Yes, indeed.
And for a Tamil like yourself, that must be something you're really pleased about.
Yeah, I'm very passionate. But as a whole, the whole of Sri Lanka, I would like to help wherever I can. But my roots being from Jaffna, obviously, it holds a special place in my heart.
Well, thank you again, Harry, for joining me on the Paddock and the Pavilion. Congratulations again on leading the Jaffna Kings this time to the trophy in the LPL, and good luck for 2022.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for giving me the opportunity once again. I hope the listeners are not getting bored listening to me. But yes, once again, thank you very much. And please give my regards to everyone at Marchtown Cricket Club and in the region, where all the friends from other clubs as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts,
Amazon Music,
SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Vernon, the heating and cooling specialist.
The name says it all. When you focus solely on indoor comfort for 43 years, well, you get really good at it. Get your heating or cooling system tuned by a Vernon specialist today for only $69. Vernon's 60 to 90 minutes of meticulous system inspection guarantees energy savings, or the tune-up is free. Now that's a value. Go to VernonHeating.com.
Vernon